Hey, this is Michael Drummond, and you're back at my house this week with me and Larry. And this week we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the last week to begin with. We're going to talk about Halloween and how it shaped up. And for me, it was more of a debacle. But for now, we'll pass it over to Larry. And Larry, how was your Halloween?
My Halloween was... my Halloween was good. It wasn't special.
Yeah. It wasn't tasty.
Yeah, it wasn't tasty. I think I was still reeling from Oktoberfest. It wasn't any better than some Saturday nights I have. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm happy with what I made, but the problem with Halloween is it's going to be like New Year's this year, I think. It's just so suppressed by people don't do stuff till late.
Yeah.
So, Halloween, maybe if you were driving X, you were a little bit busier. But
early, yeah.
Early, but for the XLs, the selects, we were just sitting around on our thumbs.
Yeah.
There were no big groups going out. That's what was amazing. And I don't know if it's because of the damn children, people trying to be responsible, But it really kind of hurt it early, and then everything just busted loose late.
Yeah, I mean, I started early on Halloween. I sat in South Tulsa because I thought that's going to be lots of people. Lots of people want to go out down there, take their kids. Nothing. Not a thing. I literally sat down there at my father-in-law's house handing out candy for 3 hours.
Yeah, you're like, I want to go to work.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just waiting. At one point, I went and sat in the car while they handed out candy, and I sat in front of the house in my car watching the phone and nothing. And I was like, my goodness. And I looked and
there was a lot of space.
I didn't see a lot of XL drivers on
either.
So to me, I was just like, they're just not using it. At first, I thought, man, did we just hurt them that bad last week that people, because I kind of feel like maybe that can be kind of an effect that people got taken pretty good during Oktoberfest weekend. People who use Uber a lot.
Yeah, we dropped car payments on people.
Yeah. Yeah. But I really feel like maybe people are kind of in a little bit of a shock right now, and they just gonna give it some time before it kicks back in. But then again, 11:30 I saw the first surge. It lasted just for a few minutes, but then it just started, when the surge kicked in, Larry called it. We're heading downtown. He goes, I say 107. And sure enough, 107 hit, and it was on. And for an hour and a half, it was just bam, 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 bam.
Right.
And it was great. And I made really good money that night. Had I started earlier on Friday night, I would have hit closer to where I wanted to be for the weekend. But just personal stuff came up, and I couldn't be out early on Friday. But Saturday night definitely brought things back around for me. But
Halloween felt like
good.
Work.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like I was just going out there and just casting a net and dragging it in. It felt like I had to go and strategically place myself and try.
Yeah.
Which, oh, damn, I had to try. But I'm just saying, Oktoberfest, we didn't have to try. Just turn on your phone. Beep.
Yeah.
Beep. All right, go get it.
Yeah. And apparently, from what I've heard from other people, that's kind of how Halloween was last year. It
was for me.
Yeah. So
and that's how New Year's was for me also, because you just sit there watching the map. Because I remember Lyft had fun little things with their cars. They were little, whatever those things are on New Year's. They changed their cars to that. I don't remember Uber changing the cars Halloween or for New Year's last year. But I just remember sitting around and just waiting. And from 4 till 9, I might have done 4 rides.
Uber and Lyft on Halloween, they both had things on the cars. The cars were different. There were zombies.
Right.
And then
Uber dropped the ball. Yeah. What the fuck was that for the XL car?
I don't know, but the select car looked like a vagina eating a car. I looked at it. It was like this pink thing eating a car.
I think it was a tutu. I don't know.
I don't know, but I didn't ever zoom in because they don't let it get bigger, but it looked like a vagina eating a car.
That's why people were taking selects. They're like, ooh, what is that? Nope. Give me an X.
It was the little crotch of horrors.
Yeah, that's what it was. Nobody's taking that shit. I'm thinking about starting on a Monday, maybe on a Tuesday. I'm just going to drive my X car, and I'm just going to call it the Chronicles of X, and I'll just chronicle my day driving X. On a Tuesday.
You can borrow one of my GoPros. You can borrow one of my GoPros.
It will just put it out there this is what it is. This is a Tuesday on X.
Yeah. I'm not kidding. I think if you did a video series like that on YouTube and you really tried to push it out and just do the right channels, it would go. Everyone would watch it just to see what happened, And I mean, it's too bad you can't start over with the knowledge that you have now, but show people, like, videotape every ride you ever had and put them up and show, like, the difference between an X and then an XL and let people see how you're rating and every day.
The rating is totally different,
Yeah, it's...
I'm back up to a 483.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I started this, it was a 489 to 49.
Yeah.
But the problem is the price. You know, people crush it.
But they know they're getting the XL. Now, we have found that people book it and they don't realize that they booked an XL. They went out with friends the night before. And I do start to ask, if I only have one or two people, I'm like, so, like we talked about, do you normally book an XL? Or did you
And it helps. It's helping the rating, but it's also cannibalizing your future earnings, because that person that took the XL there is not taking the XL home.
Yeah.
They're going home in an X.
Yeah.
And generally they're thankful and they will rate you accordingly, but it's easy to drop your rating, but very hard to bring it back up.
Oh, trust me. I know. And I mean, I've been working the magic, doing everything I can to, and it's it's coming back up, but I mean it takes
time.
I mean, luckily last week my rating overall at first it was a 5 and then it dropped to a 4.9. Some things came in, dropped to a 4.9 and then it went to 4.89. Mm-hmm. So for me, in theory, normally Uber tells me that the best drivers are like 4.83, 4.84. I guarantee when I get the email later today, it's going to be like, you fell below
your peers.
I'm like, I looked at my thing. I had a 4.89. I mean,
well, see, I dropped to a 4.82 last week, and I knew that it was going to happen because the way it goes is so from, say, Friday night to Friday night is a whole period, basically. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a low rating, you get a rough... Say you get like a 4.4 on a Friday night. Well, as you approach that Friday night, those other good rides are falling off.
Yeah.
And so you're going to drop again, and then you'll go through it, and it'll move, and it'll come back up just a bit. So even though it works on a 500 scale, I found that works.
Yeah.
But I'm back to 483. One thing to notice, whenever you turn on your app and you're like, why does it go to this one number and then change to another?
Oh, yeah.
The first number that comes up is your lifetime rating.
Yeah.
So mine will come up, it'll say a 4.86. So over the course of all my rides, I'm a 4.86 driver. And then sometimes it'll glitch or it'll take a minute or two, but then it'll change and it'll go to 4.83, and that's my current rating. Mm-hmm. So there's a little tidbit if you're wondering why your thing changes. It's not broken. It's just showing your lifetime and your regular.
Okay. So there's something new. Another thing we can talk about, both these things. So in Oklahoma, laws have changed. There is now the hands-free or the no more texting, no more driving. People are freaking out about that. As Uber drivers, we have to kind of touch our phone, and there will be times where you're driving, you have to reach up and touch it, and so there's that.
That
law.
part doesn't worry me as much.
No, I'm not so much worried about it because on my iPhone, I mean, I can say, "Hey Siri, text so and so." "Hey Siri, call so and so." I can do pretty much everything just by my voice in my car.
Right.
I don't have to do it. When I was texting you earlier, I was driving, but it was all by text Larry, and then I'd leave my message. So for me, it's not that big of a deal. I don't typically try to text and drive at the same time. My wife, on the other hand, I told her, I said, please, we don't need any $100 tickets, and that's what they're charging for this. Right. So she's going to have a hard time with it. But the other thing that came up is now in the state of Oklahoma, and I will find a link and I'll post it in the description of this, there are new car seat laws that are insane. And my 11-year-old is now required to sit in a car seat by the state of Oklahoma. Now, do I think they're going to be really enforcing this law? No, but I think if they wanted to, they could. But now, if you are under the age of 13 years old and you are not taller than 4'9", you have to be in a booster. You have to have a booster seat.
That's crazy.
So that means every time someone brings a kid in your Uber or your car, they have to have a car seat.
Do you just go, hey, 13, right?
Excuse me, ma'am. Could you take the baby's your nipple out of its mouth real quick? I mean, That's kind of what that kid's 13, right?
Children. Yeah. That's more for the children, you know.
Excuse me, can you put that in my coffee, please? You know. Uncalled for, probably.
Yeah,
tagging, definitely.
But yeah, so for the most part, I can tell you when I drove X, I almost never picked up any kids. Almost never. Ever. It'd be
XL?
rare.
Oh, I do.
I do in an XL car because I take families places now. Yeah. Which, it's always a little weird. They get in with a couple kids and parents and a friend. You're like, I don't know.
I've had a couple rides where people get in with a baby. And they don't have a car seat. And I'm
Get out.
I'm not kidding. One night I picked up, it was a group of ladies that they go to TU or however that whole thing works, but that's where I took them all. And I picked them up at Sheridan Lanes, and they got in my car, and they had 2 toddlers, and then they had a baby. And I was like,
no, get out.
Yeah, I was just like, I can't. No, we can't do this. Oh, we'll hold them. Oh, no. I said no.
Hell no.
I said no. I said if something were to happen, I could not live with myself. Right.
Nor would you enjoy the jail time.
No.
For killing a baby.
Yeah.
Like even with my girlfriend's sister, he's like 2. He's one of the kids I claim to be mine when I need to for money purposes. But he's
Would you like some pictures of mine? You can put them up on
the... He's
all blonde-haired and blue-eyed. How'd you work that one out?
Right? He's very small. He's like 32 pounds, and I mean he's just little. He's not getting in there without he doesn't have to have the baby seat, but he's got to have the little car seat. No. Just not gonna risk it, and. Especially, same reason why I won't have one beer and drive home. My job relies around transportation. None of these things can I risk. So yeah, no, there's nothing. Like I'm overly weird about driving. Like if I'm too tired, I won't drive. Well, because somebody brought this up is say you get tickets, can they go back and boot you off the system? I won't name any names, but guy got approved for Uber about the same time that he got a DUI. Right? Well, the background check went through, so he's approved, and he's driving for Uber for about a year. And they went back in there, and they looked at their stuff, because they randomly review your stuff. So if you've gotten 8 tickets since then or had any serious violations, they'll move you off the platform.
No.
And,
they should.
Yeah,
they should.
He was a good driver, very high rating, super high rating, 4.9-ish. I mean, people loved the guy. Took him off the platform, his mistake. A year ago, but you're off. Yeah. I don't know if you'll ever get back on.
Yeah. My wife got a ticket 2.5 years ago in Missouri. She was in a speed trap. She got busted in a speed trap. She was going 12 miles an hour over. She doesn't have any other tickets, never had an accident, anything. But she was one of my people that I suggested to be an Uber driver. She went through the whole thing, and then they denied her based on that one ticket. Because 12 miles an hour over is considered... it can be considered reckless driving.
Right.
So she can't get a ticket for that. Right. I mean, she can't get approved for that.
Yep. So yeah.
And Uber goes back 6 years.
Yeah. So that was a good question. I believe Robin had that. Can you lose your job if you get tickets as an Uber driver? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Because they're going to review your account at some time. Especially with the fact that Uber's always getting bad press because they're raping passengers, they're beating passengers, and I don't know if it was good press or bad press, but an Uber driver got his ass beat this past weekend.
Yep.
And I'm sure it was just about like anybody else. That was a little, that was alarming to see. Yeah. One, the errors he made. What'd you think of it?
One, if you're it's always weird, and especially if you're new to this, it's always weird when you only have one person in the car. And they sit behind you.
Don't let them. First, I'll keep my doors locked. Hey, do you mind coming to the other side?
Yeah.
And they're generally like, oh, yeah. And if they're like, no, I'll be like, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if you're going to reject my one small request, and don't be like, hey, no, don't sit there. Be like, hey, is there any chance I can get you to sit on the other side? You say it nice, respectfully. They're not going to have a problem.
Yeah, so, one, I wouldn't have just told him to get out. I would have gotten out of the car, opened his door, and said, you need to get out of my car now. Because they're in that small space. The guy couldn't turn around. He's right behind him. You got a seat between you. I mean, if he would have been over here to me, then I could have probably defended. I would have seen him coming for one.
Right.
for one. But when he's right behind you, all you see is a hand coming out. At that point, all you can do is put your hands up. And you can't turn around. It's not like you can get around to him. I mean, maybe had you grabbed the handle on your seat and slammed him back, that would have been awesome.
And here's another flaw the Uber driver makes, is he knows it's about to not be good because he turns around his camera. Yeah. So he's like, all right, this is going to get bad. Let me turn around my camera. But yet, don't let me put myself in a position to defend myself. Yeah. Undo your seatbelt. Have your pepper spray. Hand on the door. I don't know if I necessarily want to go as far as you did with getting out. You're bigger than most people. But some people feel safer in their car, especially women. Does a woman want to get out? Yeah. Because at least she has the option to drive away. Or
if I was a woman, I would drive to the closest police station.
Right.
Is what I would do. I'd end that thing and I'd take him straight to the police station and be like, this guy is, Yeah,
or stop the car, hop out in a busy place and yell rape. Yeah. Granted, ask forgiveness later, but if you have you're a woman, you think someone's about to attack you, or you feel seriously threatened, do whatever you can. Yeah. You don't have to necessarily yell rape unless you're just scared for your life. Like, say he's hit you, scream rape or whatever, because almost anybody's going to come running to a woman that's screaming rape. Yeah.
But whoever she's pointing at is the one who's
going to get their ass beat.
Yeah, probably so.
But yeah, just be careful. Like I said, open your door, have your pepper spray ready. At least be able to turn or run away from this person if you need to. That guy just basically is looking at his rearview mirror. Get out. Doesn't face him. And you don't look as threatening then. Like if he turns around in a bold posture and says, get out of my car, does that guy swing on him?
Yeah, probably not.
No. But it's kind of like we say, people like they're scared to kick people out of your car. You just got to own up to the situation. Take control, have a nice, strong posture, a firm voice, and let them know, get out. Yeah. Because my favorite, like I said before, is they hop in your car and like, hey, we're going to take 2 extra. No. Yeah. We need no other discussion besides he needs to get out.
Yeah. So. And most people, I have found here lately that most people are now. A lot of people are realizing we can't take more than 6.
Right.
And when you just tell them, look, there's legal things against me, against you, with everything. I said, I just don't want to take any chances with it.
Right.
And they understand. And I've actually done it like 3 times over the last couple of weeks, and I have not seen myself. And a few of those nights I got 5-star rides.
Right.
So that was, I think people are starting to come around to it. Uber has made a little bit more when you go to select XL. It says up. The 6 passengers thing is a little bit more prominent on my phone that I've seen. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that maybe people are starting to realize that too.
Yep.
So.
And sometimes, whenever you're going anywhere. Now, if you're right there, it's okay. Just go pick them up.
Yeah.
Well, don't necessarily take them all. But like say, you're at 21st and Harvard and you get a ping at 51st and Yale. On your way, just call them. Say, hey, this is Larry, your XL driver. I needed to confirm how many people you had in, your group. Yeah. I did that during Oktoberfest and that one guy lied. Yeah. He's like, I got 6. I get there. He's like, we got 9. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Yeah, this relationship's not going to be built on a lie.
And I even agree with, if it's not a 7-time surge and it's a regular time, I'm not taking any of them. Yeah. Like, you know what? You lied to me. Get the fuck out of my car.
That's right.
I don't want anything to do with you. You know? Because I called you ahead of time, tried to make it easier. You could have requested another XL and asked them. Some might do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But you had the chance to be honest up front, and you chose to lie.
Yeah. So the next thing is cameras in the cars. Ubers, and I have email from them because when I've had problems with customers before, I'm like, look, I will email you this because I was dealing with people wanting to put more people in my car or bring alcohol in my car, and that's when I started putting the GoPro in the car.
I have a thought, and tell me if it's dumb. Why not run because can you put a GoPro in the back of your car?
Yeah.
Why not just mount it to your back glass where nobody's going to see it anyways?
Yeah, but I want to be able to catch faces though too.
Gotcha.
That's the reason. Now, in theory, I can put one in the very back on that back glass facing forward, but I still want that one, and I've moved it now to where it's not like right there in the center. It's up top and it's right next to my
rear view
mirror. So, and also on a GoPro, you can turn off all lights. So most people think a GoPro, when they see it, the red light means it's recording. So I've disabled all lights, and I have, before I get to someone's home, about a couple blocks before, I reach up and I turn it on. You can't tell if it's recording or not. Mm-hmm. And people ask, are you recording? I don't know, I say, and most of the time I tell them, I only use the footage if there's something crazy happens in my ride.
Right. Now, aren't you technically supposed to have something that says video recording in process?
No. In Oklahoma, if they get in your car, they have submitted to anything that goes on in your car.
See, now, I thought it was only first person. I thought it was audio, not video. I thought those two different. You might look it up.
My attorney told me that they have given consent getting in my car. Now, I'm not going to take the video. I'm not taking my video and I'm not putting it on YouTube. Right. I'm not doing anything with it. And I delete the files every day. It's only if there's an incident that I'm going to use it. Okay?
Right.
So I can keep one in the front, one in the back. I mean, and I have one remote. I can't do it with my phone, but I have a remote that these can sync to, and you hit record, and they both start recording at all time.
Right. See, we need to look at this. And the only reason why I say that, I'm not saying your attorney's wrong. Yeah. But, like, if you take buses and you take taxis and you take anything that's a ride type, they all have that sign, video recording in process.
Yeah.
In progress. So I almost think, I'm not saying for sure. It's something maybe we'll look it up. Maybe... That's our project for our listeners. Some listener look this up and let us know.
Sometimes you can get in a bus and it says it's recording. Just like when you were in high school, they started putting the cameras in the buses. Mm-hmm. You didn't know if there was a camera in the bus or not. They put it up in that case, and the thought was there could be a camera or there might not be a camera, but you better be on your best behavior because you were afraid to...
Maybe just get the side.
Just get a little fake camera, put it up there, with a flashing red light on it. Who knows?
How much are you? A lot of people are probably thinking about getting a camera, but they're like they only do this a little bit. They don't know how much they want to do it. How much can somebody that doesn't want to go expensive like a GoPro?
Yeah.
But like I've seen the ones that like clip to your rear view mirror.
Yeah.
How much can somebody get in the game for?
Well, we looked at that one for you. It was like $46 or something.
Was it decent? I mean, I don't really know.
It didn't really shoot night vision, and that's the big thing about a camera. That's the big thing about these cameras. My GoPros don't have night vision. So when people get in my car at night, the only time I see them is when the doors are open, and at that point, I can say this is the person who did it. They were in this seat. If I had to go back and show that, and for any reason, and then if something really starts going bad, that's when I reach over and I hit the dome light button. All the lights come on the Suburban. And if the lights come on the Suburban, I have everything going on.
Right.
And so if you're in my Suburban and the lights come on in the middle of a ride, it's because something I'm not comfortable with.
Right.
And this is gonna go to whoever has to have it. Mm-hmm.
You ran into very many of those?
No, I've had like one.
Yeah.
But the reason I have a GoPro in my car, it was like my third week in this. I picked up two guys over at the warehouse on Peoria.
A lot of douchebags at the warehouse.
And they got in the back seat, in the two middle seats. They were talking, they're friendly and laughing with each other. And I'm not kidding, 5 minutes in the ride, it changed and they started fighting. Right. So the GoPros go in the car.
Right.
And there have been nights that I haven't put the GoPro because I think, and that's why I turn off all lights and stuff like that. And I mean, I've stopped talking to customers nearly as much as what I used to. I might talk like 5 to 7% of a ride. Just ask them, if they ask me questions, I respond. But I try not to find out anything more. A lot of times it gets later in the night, the people just want to talk to you, and that's fine. But I don't bring any attention to the camera anymore. And if they ask what it's for, I just say it's only in case something happens. And now after this event with the Uber passenger, people are going to understand.
Yeah,
and they're going to expect to start seeing cameras in cars.
Right.
And that's and I think that's going to change. I don't think we should be worried about our ratings anymore because I'm not going to
safety first.
Yeah, it's not for me. Now early on, I thought, man, I'm going to get some of these really great rides, and chicks are going to be doing crazy stuff or whatever. I don't get any of that. People ask me, what's your craziest Uber ride? And I'm like, I tell them the story where I got hit in the back of the head.
Right.
Really?
How about the time I found cocaine?
Yeah. And didn't tell anybody about it.
It was good. We're sharing it now.
So that's the, that's the kind of stuff that happens. But, I mean, if there is something crazy that happens, I mean, I want to be able to have some kind of... You might not be able to see the first part of it. You're just going to hear whatever's happening. But I'm going to turn that light on, and you're going to see whatever happens from there on out. And I'm going to protect myself. And then at that point, I'm going to say, I'm going to give this to the cops, I'm going to give this to Uber, and, that's what it's going to be.
Yep, I know. I emailed about this to Uber. It's been a good 6 to 8 months ago. I just said, what's the official policy on cameras? Just to have something in writing.
Yeah.
They're like, we are fine with it. Just remember that most people might not be fine with it, and it could hurt your rating.
Oh yeah,
which could affect your ability to be on the Uber platform. So they're saying don't do it, but you're okay to do it.
But. Yeah, and so I got that same email response from one person, but then I got another email response from a lady going, no, you're not allowed to have camera. And then I copied the email from the other person, I forwarded it to her, and I said, well, this is what the other person told me from Uber. So you might want to get your story straight before you start telling people no.
Uber customer service. It's slightly better than Lyft. They still owe me $150.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother story. But shout out to Lyft for not paying out their Halloween bonus that they were supposed to pay on the 2nd.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So now we're gonna go another week, and they already owe me a $50 bonus for referring Emily.
Oh my gosh.
And they're like, hold on, our pay team is getting with you, and this is from like October 24th.
Yeah.
For Emily's, which is still unresolved.
Yeah.
And then now we're into the no Halloween thing. So it's like wonderful.
So the question is, yes or no on cameras?
I think everybody should have it. I don't have one. I'll be the first one to tell you I don't. I need to get one. I'm just a cheap ass and kind of lazy.
Yeah.
And haven't went and done my due diligence to find one that's cheap but effective.
Yeah. Here's the deal. I recommend if you're going to do it, I have GoPros because I do multimedia work. I film youth sports. I have a whole case of them.
You have a need for it.
Yeah, I have a need for it. So for me, it's easy. I could buy a thing that goes around that little lens right there that works as an infrared thing at night. It's like $300.
Yeah.
I'd rather just turn my light on for now. If I find that it starts to become an issue, then I probably will buy that thing.
And that guy didn't have night vision. You still got a pretty decent look.
Yeah. I mean, depending on where you are, like if you're driving down the side of Lewis and it's dark outside, you're not going to see a lot. But that's why I leave the sunroof open, so any lights come in so you can kind of see lights come through. I mean, it's pretty good. Up front, you can see like me and the passenger to my side, and you can kind of see the passengers behind me. But if the lights are on, you see everything. Right. So that's one thing. GoPros start at like $199 and they go up.
Yeah. Maybe Black Friday they'll be on sale.
Exactly. And you can still buy. They've now got the Hero 4s and 4 Pluses, and those are the new ones. I have Hero 3 Pluses. I mean, mine were the top of the line. They shoot 4K video. You don't need that. You just need something that shoots high definition video that you can see. It does. If it's all grainy and pixelated, it's just not worth even using.
Right, and it can help keep your job at Uber also.
Yeah.
Because, a customer gets in and says, hey, Michael touched me inappropriately. It's your word versus theirs now.
Yeah. If you take a drunk girl home.
Yeah.
And there's been many nights where I've had some really, really drunk girls in my car. And if at any point they want to say, my Uber driver molested me or my Uber driver did this, I'm going to be like, this was my whole night. You can see every ride that I did. This is, and you can see where they got out of my car, they went inside, I drive away.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. If they say, oh, he did this to me in the car. No, I did not,
Yeah, and that's a good thing to have. So cameras, yes.
Yeah.
If you don't have them, you need to start sitting back $10-15 a week.
Yeah. You can go on Amazon or eBay and you can look up things. They clip to your rearview mirror. I've seen those kind. You can get ones. There's half a dozen out there that I'd probably say are pretty good. You could probably spend $100 on one and get something really good. You could spend money on a GoPro. You might find more uses of it than just being in your car. Right. But if you buy a GoPro, don't leave it in your car all the time because it's asking. They're expensive.
It's going to get stolen.
It's going to get the heat and stuff. Right. Buy something that if you're going to leave in your car all the time, that if something happens to it, you can replace it.
Or just get in the habit of taking it in, like I said. And you can use your GoPro. You can record Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
You can record a lot of other stuff that's fun. Maybe you want to put a little video on Facebook. Whatever.
You and your lady evening.
Right. That's a whole other podcast. That's the Tulsa Spelled Backwards podcast.
I've got this huge 4-post bed and like 6 GoPros.
I'm not going in there.
Larry's not going back into my boudoir again. So, I just have, do you remember what it was like when you first started from Uber?
God. I feel bad. How's the best way to say this? Because, like, I feel like the old man in the group, and I'm just like, get off my lawn, you know? Because they're like, hey, I did this tonight, and I made $130. And I'm like, you did 20 trips. You know? I'm like, your car literally never stopped, you know? So you were busy, but how profitable was that? Yeah. You know? And they go hand in hand. And this isn't me saying XL is better, because XL, a lot of times, they sit around sleeping. Yeah. You know? Because it's just that dead. Monday through Thursday, really, or sometimes a ghost town. You know, you might have 6 or 7 rides. So it's not to say that that's better. It's just, I'm just so mad at Uber, is because they've gone and they took what was a good job. Yeah. You know, it paid well. When I first started, it was $6 minimum, $1.65 a mile. Yeah. That's easy to drive at. Even in a Suburban, made good profit. Yep. You know, then they went to $1.40, then they went to $1.05, and then back up to $1.20, and then down to the $1. So it's when I first started, you know, I was super excited. It was scary, you know, because you're going to pick up strangers, and all your friends are like, "Hey, is that safe? Do you really want to do that?"
I still get that. People still like, I'd never get in the stranger's car. I'm like,
you take a taxi.
Yeah.
You get on a bus.
Yeah.
You know that driver? Was he drinking?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess my biggest thing is, you know, I still like to drive people around. I love communicating with people. You know, like I said, I make the best, you know, 10-minute friends 10 times a day. You know, I enjoy that. But the profit, I mean, sometimes it's hard to go out there, you know, especially now it's going to get cold. And that's when we're going to start losing a lot of drivers. Because go sit in a parking lot, and one, you're either going to run your vehicle all night long, you know, so it's never going to get a rest, or you're going to be sitting in Mexicali, and it's going to be 10 degrees. You know, you're just going to be freezing your ass off. Trust me, I know, I did it all last year, and it's hard to go out there when it's cold. Yeah. But, you know, back to driving Uber, you know, real quick, I do like it. Yeah. You know, I enjoy the friendships I've made while driving it with other drivers. I like setting my own schedule. Yeah. You know, how much longer am I going to do it full time? I don't know. You know, I mean, I have plans of something different to do. Yeah. Because I imagine within the next 3 to 4 months, you know, we're going to have another price cut. Mm-hmm. You know, hopefully we can get through Christmas before we get a price cut. Yeah. But I'm not shocked if in January we're looking at UberX being about 75 cents a mile. The minute rate will probably be about 13 cents, somewhere in there. And it could get to where California is, you know, where they have no base fare. So you pick somebody up at Woody's and you drive them to 12th and Detroit, and you make 90 cents for that ride. You know, crazy. Instead of the $2.40 you're making now.
At that point, it's just smarter to go be a taxi driver.
Yeah, and people knock taxi drivers, but personally, they're the smartest drivers in town. You can learn a lot watching where taxi drivers go.
They don't pay for they don't pay for their vehicle. They don't pay.
They got to pay the gate fee.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just part of getting out there. I mean, you're using somebody else's vehicle. You're using, you know, they're paying the insurance, they're paying the fuel. So if you have a surcharge to pay for that vehicle per day, then you are going to get out there and hustle your butt to do it.
Right. Now, I think they have to pay for their fuel, maybe. I don't know for sure. Yeah. I would have to check. I know that they pay, like, it's like $175 a week. Yeah. But think about it. How much did you pay to Uber last week? And taxi drivers don't have to work as hard as we do. No. So, like, you know, like sometimes people are like, haha, look at them, they're just sitting around. Yeah. You know what? You've got to do 10 rides to equal 4 for them. Yeah. So, you know, if they can just go out and do 5 or 6 rides in a night at like $2.25 a mile, that's a 2.2 surge that you have
plus X amount of dollars per passenger on top of that.
Right. And if they go to the airport, you can charge extra for luggage. So, I'm not saying that, like, I want to be a taxi driver because they have to pick up shit. They have to pick up the worst of the worst. You know, we're pretty lucky what we get.
They're picking up what we don't.
Right. Yeah. They're picking up homeless people. They're picking up this completely sick and deranged. They're picking up everything, you know? Not enviable at all. Yeah. But also at the same time,
there's a different class of people who take a taxi because a taxi does not take. They're not based on credit cards. They are based on a cash-based service.
You can go into Comanche Park.
You've got people who don't have bank accounts.
Peoria. Yeah. That's North and South also that are bad.
These are people who don't have credit cards. These are people who don't have mobile phones. These are people who are, you know, and I'm not saying if you don't have a bank account that you're a bad person, but I feel that a person who
on
is somewhat,
whole, if you take 100 people, you're going to have more bad in that group than the 100 Uber riders. Yeah. Which And it's a numbers game. So that means even if there's 20 that are bad in that 100 and only 5 that are bad in that Uber group, that means more often than not you're going to get hit from behind like that Uber driver did.
Yeah.
Periscope is a bitch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even use it.
So I turned in my paperwork for Uber first. I turned in my paperwork the same day for Lyft. 2 days later, I met with Billy, the Lyft lady, and she approved me and everything, and I waited 3 more days after my stuff, and I was driving for Lyft. Uber took 30 days.
Yep. They used to take a while.
But the deal was that I turned everything in, but they're like, we still don't have these documents. I'm like, they're right here in the system. And they're like, oh, finally somebody emailed me and said, no, send us to this place. Send it all here. So I did, and then a week later I was approved for Uber. Apparently they're switching systems or whatever. So for that
or just incompetent.
It could be either, yeah. So anyway, that first month I drove nothing but Lyft. And I kind of grew an affinity to Lyft, and I kind of felt more protective of Lyft. I had heard people say, stuff about, why do you drive Lyft versus Uber? I'm like, well, I'm going to drive Uber. I'm just waiting. And so I heard stories, and I was kind of like, well, when Uber comes around, I kind of felt jilted because it took them a month to do it. But I was really fond of Lyft, and I was making good money back in March this year and so I was like, I'm
a tip for drivers, you make more money with Lyft when you don't drive Uber.
Yeah. Because, you get the rides that come through.
Right.
So, anyway, I was making $160 a night with Lyft when I started, because that's all I did. I mean, because everybody else was on Uber, so I get all those rides.
Right.
But then I started driving for Uber, and next thing you know, my clock keeps busted up.
And the newness wears off.
And so at that point, I was kind of excited. I was driving for both. I thought, wow, I'm going to make some real money. But then I stopped driving for Lyft because, like you said, if you're driving for Uber, it's hard to drive for Lyft because you're just taking the rides. And it just kind of started to, what started out was something just to make extra money suddenly became I was like, my God, I'm grinding myself here. And so I started to and then I'm watching my ranking, first it was good, and then it would drop, and then come back up. And then when I went to, I started really doing a lot more XL rides, and I went to XL only. Then I just watched that thing just tank. And there was probably a month while doing it that I was really unhappy doing it. And I think that's probably when my ranking probably dropped the most. I was really unhappy doing it. I was tired of being. At first, people acted like we were their best friends. They loved us, everything.
Right.
And then it got to the point where people started getting so demanding and they wanted stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing you a favor here, man. I want to get you home so you're safe. But now you have to touch every button in my car. You're just talking down to me. I'm trying to, and I probably got really upset. And my attitude probably did not help during that time. But that 1 month took its toll. And I've not had that attitude again, because now I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is. I was taking every ride too.
Right.
I didn't turn down a ride. Right. If I had somebody who was pissed off,
I obviously don't take every ride.
No, yeah. And when I stopped, I got happy again.
Oh yeah.
And I was taking people that I would have to fight with about alcohol and too many people in my car, and those just brought it down, and I'd get mad about that. And finally, I said, you know what? I stopped taking those rides. I just said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I started reading a bunch of stuff online and people talking about it. And I learned that stuff that Uber kind of frightens you with at first about not taking rides or...
Scare tactics.
Yeah, scare tactics that they use, they don't really implement those.
Now they're trying them on me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't turn down that many rides. I mean, so but I don't have to take what I feel is a bad ride. I'm not going to
Don't lose money.
I was setting myself up to fail by doing that. And so I got really disappointed. And when I stopped doing that and I started doing it on my own business, things got better again. Yep. And then shortly after that, that's when I met you, and I got in these groups, and I just started doing it, and since then it's on me. I make my own choices, and I don't care what they're going to say, and I'm bringing things back up. I'm still taking the hit from the Oktoberfest thing, but I know we're in time. I keep putting up these 4.8 and 4.9 and 5.0 weekends.
It's going
to go back up. Yeah. It's just going to take some time, and I'm not worried about it.
And you already got a nice vehicle, so that's going to get you in the right direction. So it's just those subtle tweaks that you've made with your nice vehicle.
Yeah.
And I think, you'll be able to drive Select before maybe by January.
Yeah.
Because when you're lower, it's easier to come up.
Yeah.
When you're higher, it's harder to come up. Because right now, a 4.8 is a big rating for you.
Yeah.
Where you're at now. You get a 5-star week, even better.
Yeah. Well, I just turned my resume in to 5 companies today. Yeah. So hopefully something comes around from that. And I'd love to go back because I still don't, I'm full-time, but when do I drive? I drive Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and some on Sundays.
Right.
So I'm driving 4 days a week. And,
And that's really the only times we're driving on an XL.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to probably start, and I don't know how much, but like I said, I think I'm going to start driving Tuesdays and just drive X.
Yeah.
In my car, which I haven't had out on the road since the day before the raft race when I went in the shop because repairs are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
This is my 5th week in a row that one of my cars have been in the shop for something. Now, granted, a lot of times it's just preventative maintenance, but if you don't get a hold of that stuff,
it becomes non-preventative, right. And it becomes massive.
Could I have waited another 6 months to change my EGR valve? Probably, but how hard is that on your car?
So you're costing yourself money,
right?
Okay, it's not like you're driving on brake rotors or drums that are so thin that they're gonna snap.
Which, how about the car? Look, this is good.
Oh,
this goes. With
I went through all the pictures. You can see the side of it, but you can't see their license plate. But trying to thin the herd is not going to work on this.
No, what we were talking about though is Aaron said, I've never seen a bad X car or a bad Uber car. We witnessed that car that had its door all crumpled.
Oh my! The whole side. It was the 2 doors.
Right.
It was like one of those Nissan Versas or whatever it was.
Hey, shut the fuck up. That's what I drive.
No, not a Versa.
That car was nicer than mine.
It was the SUV thing. It was I don't know.
A Murano or something?
Yeah, the Murano. That's what it was. Yeah.
And it was just crumpled to shit. And, hold on. And I will leave this person's name out because they're in our group and they just got in the wreck. But if you follow the thread, you know who it is. And this is no knock on him.
Yeah.
Right? When you get in a wreck, Uber will lock up your account. As well they should because you need to get that shit fixed and then get back on the road. It's not a crumpled car, but it's still a fucked up tail end. So they unlock it so I can get back on the platform. Proving Uber doesn't give a shit. They're like, hey, your car's wrecked. It hasn't been fixed yet. Go make some money.
Yeah.
That they don't care. That's when you get Mario and Luigi showing up with ladders hanging out of their truck.
No way, man. Yeah, I read that. I was like, are you kidding me? One, the guy shouldn't have been in the car with the driver. That was the messed up part.
And I blame Uber for that. I don't even blame the driver. I blame Uber. You know why? Because, like I said, they'll willingly send a wrecked car on the road.
No.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They care about your $1.60 and 20%. Other than that, they wash their hands. They don't inspect your car.
Yeah. The one thing, that would make me care more and think that maybe I would maybe not be so upset with Uber anymore.
Is they actually have a qualification to get on the road?
Well, not just that, but that when I email them, that I don't get these made up, fake, automated responses. Yeah, and they're just automated. They're like, let me see. What's a word in here? Type this in. Okay, damage. Okay, and then they have 5 emails. I'm going to pick this one. Just send it to them. No, if you would read my email and see, and just say, I'm going to check with the supervisor. I'm going to get back with you on this. Just give me, something that was not just, hi, thank you for...
But yeah, so I don't think we really touched on anybody's questions this week. Hopefully,
we didn't really have a whole lot of questions.
We didn't even ask them. But anyways, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, no problem. I think Larry and I are gonna build a new website, and we're gonna post this up so it gets out in the Apple podcast thing and a bunch of other stuff. So until next time, everybody, drive safe and enjoy your weekend. And submit your questions to us on the Facebook group, or you can email us. You can email me at mgdrummond1@gmail.com.
Or I have the easiest email address, remember? UberXTulsa@gmail.com.
At Gmail, that's right. Until then, thanks, guys.